Hi, I'm Melissa Moore, and this is my CIT 360 Self-Reflective Journal. Here's a popular, well-known saying used when tackling big goals or huge problems. How do you eat an elephant? As I started this class, I had a lot of stress and anxiety. I wondered if I would even make it through the class. I was looking at the end picture instead of where I was today and how to get started. I felt prompted to not throw in the towel and to give the class a try. I would take it a week at a time, starting with topics I did know. Since my plate was already full, I followed Brother Tuckett's counsel, trusting that if he said, "Don't worry about some future assignment yet," I left it alone and didn't even put it on my plate. So, how was I going to eat my CIT 360 elephant? One bite at a time. I decided to not dwell on problems and challenges I didn't really have yet and start with one topic and problem. The weekly announcements helped to focus my energy on the things I needed to work on. I discovered that when I actually went to work learning new things, I found eating the elephant was easier than I had originally thought. With each bite, I actually thought I might be able to do this. I learned that this class isn't as much about actual programming as much as it is about learning how to learn, how I learn things. Some bites of the elephant were very humbling in the class. As I went to do my first program, I was ready to get started. I'd read the tutorials and sample code. I had set up a repository in GitHub, and when I opened up NetBeans to get them connected to each other, I couldn't remember the steps for what I needed to do to get things set up. Then I thought, that's okay. I'll just start writing the project and come back to my repository. But even getting a project started was quite a challenge. Discouraged, I wondered two things. How is it I can read a program and code and know what I need to write, but I can't get NetBeans set up? Second, if I can't get NetBeans and GitHub set up, how was I going to get through this class, let alone pass? I walked away from the computer and prayed, and then spent some time looking over past materials. Determined not to give up, I took a bite of elephant again. With this bite, things started to come back on what I needed to do. Another struggle was learning the rhythm and schedule for this new way of learning. I hadn't realized I'd grown accustomed to learning in a very structured and scheduled way, and now I was in charge of setting and keeping my own schedule of learning. I felt lost without the set pattern of guided exercises and required materials. I was the one that needed to choose what materials and resources I'd use. I tried to get an idea from the discussion boards what most people were using to find that everyone was using something different. Finally, I made a plan and what technology I was going to use. I scheduled myself to learn 2 topics a week, but I found that weeks I didn't have to turn in a familiarity review, I wasn't as diligent to keeping to my schedule. I then found myself scrambling the next week to get 4 topics learned. I learned that I needed to hold myself accountable. With more small bites of learning and knowledge, I gained more confidence in my own abilities. I started to share more in the discussion boards and with my group. I learned that I needed to be able to update and change as new technology is coming out all the time. I may need to try a new program or application to solve the current problem, but this means knowing where to go to find relevant and current answers. I learned to celebrate the small victories. A topic learned, my code works, I reached basic. An iterative way of learning is great. This is how we learn in life. I learn line upon line, building one concept on another. In fact, one of the best learning comes when we fall or fail. Not reaching basic did not mean I failed. I just have more to learn and to try again. It was more learning for me. Each topic and week was its own learning curve. I needed to set goals that were reasonable and realistic. To be flexible, to know that life doesn't always go as planned, but I need to adjust the schedule and move forward and not get discouraged. In computers, There is more than one right way to get the job done. There are many options to choose from, and I need to try one and see if it works, and be willing to try something else when it doesn't. I am responsible for my own learning, but it helped to be accountable to my group on both my individual and group schedule. I knew that I would need to report my progress with them each week, and I wanted to be prepared. Most of the time, I am pretty leery of group working or working with a group because not everyone has the same work ethic or want to expend the same amount of effort or time into assignments. Usually one or two of the members do most of the work, but everyone gets the credit. When my group first met together, I worried, being the only woman in the group, how that would go, and that I didn't work and that I was a stay-at-home mom. My only computer experience coming from the classes I'd taken up to this point. Somehow, I drew the short stick to be the first one to teach the group. I was so nervous. I worried about what they would think of my PowerPoint. Why was I covering a particular area? I wondered if I knew enough to be teaching the group on this topic, and that someone in the group probably had more knowledge and experience than me, and that they should be teaching. I worried that if someone asked a question I couldn't answer, would the group trust the information I had taught? But my group was very encouraging and supportive. With more small bites of teaching, I learned that I can do it. Interesting side note, as I taught the topic, I did get asked a particular question that I knew the answer to, but I couldn't articulate the answer. When the group meeting was over, I found a great link that better explained what I'd been trying to say. I also shared what I learned on the discussion board, so if others had the same question, they'd be able to find the answer. Each group member was so supportive and always reassuring each one of us in the group, or those that taught for that week. They taught us something new. I gained confidence in my teaching and presenting ideas to my group. Teaching provides us an opportunity to share what we've been learning in our own words. It helps us to see what we know and what we still need to learn. Sharing information and asking questions can and may help someone else that is experiencing the same problem. It may lead or find a solution. Just because I have knowledge of a topic doesn't mean there isn't more to learn, and from someone that's just beginning to learn the topic. The other day I was working in an application and I did a right click to do stuff, and someone who'd been using it forever didn't even know that was something they could do. New perspectives get us looking at things in a new way, or in a way we never thought of before. Working in a group is more than just getting a job done. It requires trust, communication, and coming prepared to work. Everyone has something to contribute to the group, and all the members are needed. It was hard to see members in the group drop the class, especially right before the end of the semester. As we lost members, we did adjust the teaching schedule, but those of us that stayed till the end became quite close, as we spent hours troubleshooting or trying to get Hibernate to work. It was great to share, teach, and learn with my group. None of us are experts, but we were all learning together. Each person brought a new perspective to the topic. This facilitated more learning, and many times everyone in the group shared just the right example or explanation to help make those connections on how the topic we were covering all works together. My group helped answer many of my questions, and they were always so positive, encouraging, and helpful. In closing, I want to sum up how I was able to eat a CIT 360 elephant. I know this class has prepared me for life in a real world because I won't always be given all the information for things, and it will be up to me to get the knowledge I need to be successful. It takes small bites of learning. It is start with what you know. Ask questions. I need to celebrate the things I accomplish. Be open to new ideas. I am responsible for my own learning. There are things that don't go as planned, but keep working at it. I can finish it and be successful. Things can be a lot harder if I allow myself to get frustrated, disappointed, or discouraged. I need to step back, pray, and start with what I know. This course was hard and overwhelming, just like the thought of eating an elephant in one bite. But eating one small bite at a time, I've learned a new way to learn, and I made it to the end of this course, one bite at a time. Thank you. This was my CIT Reflective Journal.